Hello, Planet Watchers. We're here for Capricorn and the new year. Mary Jane, you've got your bling.
Oh, every little bit helps. I figure trying to get in a mood for a New Year's Eve party. I'm definitely in the mood for a new year. So we'll try to get the party going early.
This year, I tell you, everybody thought 2020 was so bad, but boy, 2020 said, hold my beer.
No
But
kidding.
here's
Uh,
2024 just coming in like a train wreck.
oh man, I'll be very glad to see the end of this energy. Going, we've got some things to finish up here, but we're slowly getting in some kind of space for some new energy. So that will be a very good thing.
Oh, that is good. Yeah, I'm going to have to stay up till midnight because I want to make sure 2024 is gone.
It happens. It really must
Right?
happen.
Oh my.
I tend to agree. Anyway, well, Capricorn is never like fun city, right? But except when we're making up these festivals to keep ourselves going. But we'll just make the best of it and see what we can pull out of the hat for next year.
I mean, really, all of this is, and when I say all of this, I mean life is what we make of it. It's how we show up. It's the attitude we
Basically.
bring. It's the gratitude we hold. Yes, things
Right.
are hard,
What
but
will be, but it's what we can pull out of it finally that is going to be important for each of us.
so what do we have coming up in the month?
Well, we start out really well. Actually, the Ingress is on the solstice on the 21st of December, and we have a very nice day there between Saturn, the Black Moon, also Vesta, and Venus. It's a lovely time to be looking at household goods, maybe ask for that wonderful Christmas present for a new lamp or whatever you need at home. Any serious buying and selling in your houses, in your domicile, are going to be very positive this first week in December in Capricorn. So use it well, use it wisely, and yeah, it's a very good time. The other nice news here is that Pluto is being very kind to orphans. I'm putting orphans like this, people who are feeling down and out, people who are down and out, people who are needing a helping hand up, seem to be getting that again through this first week in Capricorn. This is going on actually through well within the period of January. So it's a nice time to be giving that helping hand. It's a nice time to be looking for a helping hand if you're feeling alone out there and somewhat desperate. It's excellent to turn to help. Don't be afraid to turn to help, get a welcoming ear, and talk about what's going on. It can be a very fertile time to turn some things around for yourself. The same is true, actually. It's a nice time with Venus. Venus is doing some other kind of terrible things. But in that first week of Capricorn, that is from the 21st and through the 31st, Venus too is getting help from Jupiter to create some good situations, to create especially good relational and money situations. So these are very useful times to sort of get on one's feet if you're feeling kind of desperate at this particular period, which is not going to be uncommon for a lot of us.
Ah,
Let's just talk about Venus a minute because I save it for the end. But in fact, Venus is in her attitude toward life, in her attitude toward the sun. She's setting the stage for feeling quite alone. We've talked about this separation of Venus from the sun a few times in the last year. Venus is at her ultimate distance from the sun, that Venus can't go more than 46 degrees away from the sun. And she's going to be holding that position from from the 21st of December and well into February. So we're going to have to get used to this feeling of having to deal with things on our own. I think it's important through here to remember that we're not alone. There's always periods where you feel as though you're getting no help from anyone, no understanding from your theoretical loved ones, that you're feeling rather isolated. Don't be afraid. Again, as I said, these other planets, don't be afraid to reach out, ask for help. Ask for a helping hand, a willing ear. It's important to share. It's important to look for help and to feel as though you're not finally alone. That's going to be true, and it's hard through the holiday season because this is a time when all of society wants us to, especially commercial society, wants us to pull things together and to be loving each other and everybody feeling very tight and very family and very supportive. Not necessarily. And when you're not in the mood, it just doesn't happen so easily. But as I said, it's a great time to be reaching out, giving help, receiving help, asking for understanding. We're never alone, never totally. So it's a good time to be remembering that particular message. This said, and with the same thing in mind, actually, the good news is that this help from Jupiter is going to help us all free ourselves from some imperfect, painful, stultifying relationships. These are contractual, these are partners, these are marriages, these are promises made that just don't hold, don't make any sense. And I'll talk a little bit about what the phenomenon, the sun and Venus, what's involved here. But it's going to be a very good period until the 31st of December to be straightening out some very uncomfortable relationships. This can clear the air in a lot of situations, and I think it's important to use that. There are some very difficult dates. Let me talk a little bit more about the phenomenon here between Venus and the sun. The sun is going through Capricorn, of course, all month long. Venus is at 46 degrees in front, that is to say, in Aquarius. So the attitude here is one of Venus wanting to pull out of what is essentially a controlling situation. The sun in Capricorn is going to be very control oriented and tradition oriented and doesn't want to leave any space for this newfound freedom that Venus is looking for, and is going to make it extremely difficult, extremely uncomfortable for this poor Venus to say, look, we can get along, but you have to let go. You have to give me some space. You have to give me air. Remember this in all of your relationships. Be willing to live and let live, to give people space around them. See if you can find compromising positions that are going to be comfortable for both sides. This is really a terribly uncomfortable position for Venus this month, but it's going to be necessary and is going to clear a lot of air in a lot of otherwise extremely, I consider, dangerous relationships. So the good news is there through from now until the 31st of December, we've got an excellent time to be doing all this. There are some very difficult points in here where emotions get tied up, where the moon is not helping at all in establishing this kind of compromise. I'm thinking of the 26th of December, the 30th, 31st of December, the 3rd of January, the 6th of January, the 10th of January. The 6th of January is particularly hard with the complication from Saturn. Also the 17th and the 18th and the 20th. These are periods where the moon is not helping at all in finding any kind of compromise or any kind of sharing experience. However, other dates in there are going to be easier to manage. Not an overly comfortable position, again, for Venus and the sun, but make it work for you. That's what I'm saying. And if you have to be firm in letting go of some otherwise extremely controlling, toxic experiences, unhealthy relationships, if you feel as though, and a lot of people, especially I'm thinking Aquarians, Leos, and maybe some Capricorns too, who have this Venus already in Aquarius, are going to be feeling this need to break out of a terribly uncomfortable and what is essentially a controlling or toxic relationship. So that's our friend Venus. Let's start from the top. I like to get the big picture in place, and then we can play with it or against it or on it anyway. Our friend Pluto isn't doing anything yet very healthy. Pluto is moving out of its what was essentially a rather nice sextile to Neptune and was, in my mind, giving us a sort of a window open for some sort of peace negotiations in these diverse wars going on. This is sort of moving out of sync these days. And so any peace plans are going to be feeling a serious dent, if in fact they were existing at all. Pluto is going to be in a semi-square to Jupiter, and this involves some major moves, though, in these diverse fields of war. Some major moves are going to be stalled. Now, I'm thinking, why? Jupiter. So we're going to hear public outcry. We're going to hear from the UN more sanctions. The NATO is going to be putting up sanctions against, I'm thinking especially the heavy hand of Russia, but also the heavy hand of Israel and the heavy hand of Palestine. Everyone seems to be involved in receiving some news that finally these different attacks are not going to be popularly received at any time. This could be useful in at least slowing down some movements. However, Pluto is still and staying opposite to Mars, and so we're going to see this same hostile, aggressive attitude in place virtually all month. This Mars is in retrograde in Leo and made me think about the possibility of defective munitions on one or both sides. It's as though some industrial functions are trying to stymie, in fact, the success of these wartime missions. So
Well,
we'll see about that. Sorry?
that makes me wonder about I don't know if you've been hearing over there, but these drone sightings here in the States. But no, actually, I did hear that these drone sightings have been in other places as well. Have you seen
Yeah,
that?
yes,
Yeah.
for
So,
sure.
and mostly around military complexes.
Indeed,
I'm wondering if
indeed.
that plays into it.
What's interesting with this whole drone tactic, to my thinking, is that these drones are really amazingly fragile. They're not only expensive, but they're amazingly fragile. They can be shot out of the air just any old time. And to build a whole offensive mission around these drones, I don't know, it strikes me as kind of silly. But again, we'll see where this goes,
Well, if indeed these are drones.
if indeed. And progress continues. The drones are getting more and more heavily laden with bombs and other
Right.
kamikaze missions to accomplish. I don't know what's going on there, but it'll be rather curious, if only for military history. It'll be curious to see what becomes of them. Anyway, all of this notion of defective, I said defective, but sort of contrary munitions,
Yeah.
approach to new munitions. We'll see about that.
Interesting. Interesting.
Another movement that kind of bugs me is because of my personal interest in landmines, and it looks as though we're going to be moving into an escalation of the use, the placement of landmines. Apparently, the Ukraine right now is the most heavily mined country in the world. We've had with some very serious competition in that contest. But apparently this is going to be escalating. So that's my personal nemesis. I really hate the idea of so many civil lives being taken and maimed and destroyed through the use of these landmines. So anyway, that's what's going on with the heavy planets in any case. Uranus hasn't quite finished doing his number and will be especially active in the end of December, making complications in forming partnerships. This tendency goes more likely into ruptures or breaking of contracts. But also, these ruptures are not particularly comfortable either, unfortunately. Again, use the good Venus dates to accomplish gracefully leaving a contract situation, gracefully leaving a partnership of any nature, in fact, in order to avoid some very nasty exchanges of words and or violent gestures. This is difficult on the 21st, the 26th, and 7th of December. 30th, 31st of December. We're going to have a wild, wild New Year's. The 2nd of January, also the 6th and the 10th and 11th. more graceful, easier to handle these transfers, these changes of allegiance, let's say, are occurring on the 9th of January, the 13th, the 18th, and the 23rd. These are better dates with a nicer moon to allow civil exchange, let's say.
Okay, let's back up here. The wild new year.
Yeah, well, the 31st, 30th, 31st of December is showing up all over the place as being a very uncomfortable date. Now, we're going to have, I'm thinking, some kind of crazy parties, and you want to leave your guns at the door. You want to not necessarily enter into every sharp discussion or out and out fight that you come across. It's a time to keep calm, enjoy the party, enjoy the good parts of it, and leave any recrimination at the door.
Yeah, good idea.
Now, yeah, that's again, Uranus is in a place that's calling for newness, calling for innovation, calling for some healthy rupture. There's room for that. It's always a question of timing, isn't it? As for making new contracts, making new promises, this month does not look very good for that kind of carrying on. I would leave any long-term projections well into January. You'll have time to do that once we're secure in Aquarius, which is always a time looking forward, looking for innovation, looking for new things. And Venus will be cooperating there. A lot of other planets will be cooperating much more healthily after January 20th. One trouble is that there's a square going on now and all month, actually, from Jupiter to Saturn. Now, what happens? Jupiter that wants to expand, Saturn that wants to contract. And when these two areas are in a square like this, why it's butting against a wall. Neither side is going to come out winners, especially as these are happening between Neptune and Gemini. So there's a great deal of confusion, in fact, on both sides in any plans, any long-term plans, and any contract details. It's impossible to know what anybody even wants. And so they're going to take positions and try to hold them, even when the facts involved are so totally unknown. There's a great
Yeah.
deal of unknown information here.
Oh, yeah.
Some difficult days are the 21st, again, the 29th of December, the 4th, the 10th, and the 17th of January.
Mary Jane. Oh my
I
God.
know I'm doing the best I can. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. What can I say? What can I say? I'm not moving these stars around by myself, eh? I wish I were. I wish I were actually,
Well,
because
you would do a
I do
better
a better
job.
job.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want to sign any contracts unless they're agreements to disagree. Let's put a whole lot of these business dealings on simmer until the 20th of January.
Right.
Right? Right. That's about all I've got. Mercury is going to be in square to Saturn as well through the 1st of January, and square to, this is interesting, square to Neptune from the 2nd to the 10th of January, and especially on the 5th. So as soon as we have another square, Mercury, Neptune, this only adds to the confusion. Not only what do I want or not, what am I saying or not, or what are you saying or not? This is typically a period where communication kind of goes like this, and it's like two ships passing in the night, so you just can't connect. And so this is obviously a very trying time for making any contract dealings, setting any affairs in order, and all the rest. So I'm saying have nice parties, have, keep it fun, keep it easy, uh,
Light.
be with friends, ask for help if you need it, and to be kind to each other.
Yeah. I do have a question.
Yeah.
Is Mars retrograde? that we're in.
Yep.
When is that over?
Well, let's see. And not for a long time. Mars is right now opposite to the sun. And so Mars will be retrograde, well into what can I say? March. I
Ah,
have to look
okay.
that up, but yeah, he's not going straight anytime soon.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know. You can't blame a girl for asking.
No, 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 no. What does that mean for us? Typically, a retrograde Mars is going to look backward. He's going to look backward. He's going to look toward old arguments, old fights, old wounds as well. It's kind of an interesting time, and we're going to hear a lot about doing corrective surgery, for instance. You know, that hip replacement that didn't go quite well. Well, now we kind of have to think about doing it over. Think about that next month, okay? Not right now. But yeah, some gestures like this, also surgical gestures, can go wrong or need repeating, need replacing, need correction. That's the general sense of Mars retrograde.
Okay, got it. That's awesome to know. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. So it sounds like a tough month ahead. I think you gave us some good dates to really hunker down and mind our P's and Q's, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
right.
Also, a
So
few. So use this. Basically, the best time we've got is right now, is from the 21st, from the Ingress to the 30th, let's say, of December. Wrap things up and get yourself free to just take a nice vacation, take time out. Don't put stress on to finish a lot of things that are not going to get finished anyway, or finished badly. And to be kind to yourself. It's a very good time to be. The solar ingress is in the winter solstice is an excellent time to be hibernating. And a lot of critters in nature have got this down pat. They know you just go underground, right? And hang out until the spring thaw. And this could work actually pretty well for all of us this winter, at least right now.
good call. All right. I guess we'll see you in Aquarius, and I'm hoping that the news is going to be a little bit better in Aquarius.
Well, I hope so too.
Yeah, well, until then, we do the best we can. We be kind to everybody that we can, and we count our blessings, and there are many blessings.
There are indeed. There are indeed. It's a good time to be doing exactly that.
Well, happy holidays to you,
The same to you, the same to all of you out there. Come back and see us in Aquarius.
Aquarius.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.